When he sees something he likes, he's gotta he loves it. In his own words, he goes crazy for it, and he's willing to say whatever he needs to in order to get her to do what he wants. There is a huge power imbalance here.
You look great.
Thanks.
Really, really great.
And then Noah's friend swoops in to try to save him because he's being really weird. Astute viewers would notice that she doesn't fight back, and some would say that that makes it okay. That's not how consent works, and you should never feel pressured by your partner to do anything that you don't want to do. While still blocking her ability to leave, by the way, he has taken the power back from her. She gives an inch and he forcefully takes a mile. Noah is back in power. I know I've said it before and I don't want to restate, but it seems you only want women to procreate. Now, notice how Noah screams at her, invalidating her feelings, ignoring her wants, and violently berating her with insults. The Notebook is disgusting. Hello hippies, welcome. Are the glasses too much? The glasses might be too much, and like the necklace is dang. Hold on, this video is way too serious for me to have all this on. Hold on. Phenomena. Dude. Okay, I'm keeping this one though. Oh no, my little bear fell. Hello hippies. The Notebook, starring Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling, is widely regarded as a romantic classic that will have almost everyone in tears by the end. According to Cinema Blend, The Notebook is one of the best romantic movies of all time. Even Bing's new AI says that it's a romantic movie, and AIs can always be trusted, right? What's your favorite part about the twisted animatronic? Well, what if I were to tell you that everything you thought you remembered about this movie was completely wrong? That it's not actually a romantic love story at all, but instead a creepy, disgusting film that fetishizes manipulation, rape culture, and normalizes misogyny and victim blaming. That the only romantic thing about this movie is how it romanticizes abuse. I know that's a lot, and I know I need to show some very serious evidence to back up those very strong claims that I'm making. So let's talk about that together. Also, hi, I might interject here in this setup every maybe three or four times throughout the course of this video, and I might interject via audio repeatedly throughout the course of this video. That's because of a mixture of audio issues, video issues, just general technical issues, things that I realized I wanted to say that I didn't get to say at the time, that I realized later that I was like, oh, I actually want to include this too, so now that's in as well. Also, on top of that, the place that I was filming in for this video, I moved out the day after I got done filming. So all of the other filming bits, that's why it's all like audio or here in this setup, because it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm in a new place now. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that so it's not like really weird later. Thanks, bye. This video is a bit long and covers a lot of heavy topics, so feel free to step away and come back later if you need, or if you need to step away and not return to this video, that's okay too. Whatever you need to do, I promise I won't be offended. It's totally fine, I get it. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. So allow me to set the scene. The movie begins with the old lady and this old guy. Don't know who they are. Anyway, so the old guy begins reading the old lady a story, and then we jump back in time to June 6, 1940. Noah, played by Ryan Gosling, is walking with his friend Finn around the carnival when he sees for the first time Allie Hamilton, played by Rachel McAdams. Allie is on the bumper cars with her friend Sarah, having a fun time. お前はもう死んでいる。何? As Allie and Sarah step off the ride, Allie is approached by this guy who offers her free cotton candy. She agrees. Sarah is actually dating Finn, so Allie and Sarah go to meet up with Finn and thus also meet up with Noah. Noah asks Allie if she'll go out on a date with him as his opening line. They've never met before. They know nothing about each other. Notice how close he is to her as well. He has clearly overstepped her personal space bubble. At the end of the scene, she even makes a comment about how uncomfortable she was because of how close he is to her. He's weird, she doesn't know him, and he's invading her privacy and making her uncomfortable, so she says no. The correct response when you ask someone to do something with you, especially like a date, and they say just flat out no, is to say, okay, no worries, or no, that's okay, don't even worry about it. Because you don't want to disrespect their wants, their needs, their privacy, their safety, or their boundaries. Because, after all, no means no. If you only remember one thing from this video, remember this. No means no. What does Noah do? When she says no, he asks why. He doesn't respect her privacy, her choices, her boundaries, her wants or wishes at all. To him, her no is not enough. In his eyes, she needs a reason to validate her lack of consent for his advances. He asks why so that when she tells him a reason, he can debate with her and tell her why she's wrong. For example, if she said, no, because I don't like your hair, then he could say, I can get a different hairstyle. We'll see more of this from his character later on in the film. It's a manipulation tactic. If she says, I don't want to go out with you because of X, he can change the scenario and claim there's no reason for her to not want to go out with him. If she were to say, no, because you're in my space, then he could just simply back up and then go, oh, but I'm not in your space anymore. So how about that date? It's gaslighting, and it's using thought fallacies to try to guilt trip her into going out with him. Allie, being the badass bitch that she is, no, I can't say that. Allie, being the badass girl boss that she is, doesn't let Noah put her in that scenario though. Instead, she simply says, because I don't want to. And Noah can't argue with that. He can't argue about her wants or her emotions. He can't force her to want him, right? To even further complicate the situation, the candy guy and his buddy walk up behind Allie and say to Noah, she's with us. This is meant as a signal to Noah that Allie's uninterested and he needs to back off. Allie even leans into this when the cotton candy guy asks her if she wants to go on the Ferris wheel with him. She stares Noah in the eyes and says, I would love to the cotton candy guy. She is signaling that she's uninterested in Noah's proposals. She has said, no, I don't want to, several times, and even agreed to go on the Ferris wheel with someone else. One no should be more than enough, but Allie has signaled multiple times that she is uninterested. You'd think Noah would get the hint. After she says no multiple times and walks away, Noah decides that no doesn't mean no. It means not yet. He proceeds to climb up the side of the Ferris wheel and hang on to the top of it. He threatens Allie by saying he is going to let go and fall to his death if she doesn't go on a date with him. She still says no. And look, he once again asks why not. She says, I don't want to. Now he's gonna force her to want it. He ups the stakes by letting go with one arm, while claiming it's her fault for leaving him no other choice. He's now hanging from the Ferris wheel by one arm and saying, oh no, my hand is slipping, implying that if she doesn't answer soon. I want to take a second to note that I know how damaging and how terrifying a situation like this can be. If you're in a situation like this, or if you have been in one in the past, please know that it is not your fault. Please know that maintaining your boundaries is important, and no one has any right to tell you to change your boundaries. You are not responsible for the decisions of others. If Noah were to fall to his imminent death, that wouldn't be Allie's fault, and Allie would not be responsible for his loss. The only thing you can control is you, and you are not a bad person for standing up for yourself, your boundaries, or your morals. You deserve to be happy and healthy just like everybody else. You deserve to be happy and for your wants to be heard. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and love, not threats and fear. If you're with someone because you're afraid of what's going to happen if you leave, that's not a healthy relationship, and there are resources out there that can help you. No matter how isolated you feel, please know that you are not alone, and there are people out there who want to help you.
Will you? Or will you not go out with me? Goddamn, my hand's slipping.
You're trying to fire, you idiot!
Not until she agrees.
Bro literally says, if you don't go out with me, then I'm going to myself. And the movie treats this like it's a cute romantic moment. Allie is screaming in fear, being traumatized, and the movie is playing soft romantic music in the background. Allie caves under the intense pressure and fear that he's putting on her and agrees to go out with him. And he goes, no, don't do me any favors. I'm about to fall. And he doesn't get down to safety until she goes, no, I want to. You remember what happened earlier? He asked her why she didn't want to go out with him, and she said, because I don't want to. And so he forced her through threats, fear, and intimidation to say that she does want to.
Say it.
I want to go out with you!
Say it again.
I want to go out with you!
Only after getting what he wanted does he get down from the dangerous environment. She said no, he asked why, she said I don't want to, so he forced her to say that she did want to, and is going to use that against her later to push for more. That's not how consent works. If someone says yes because they have to, that's not consent. That's emotional blackmail. It's abusive and controlling. Quickly note that this is immediately downplayed by Allie pantsing Noah. She embarrassed him slightly by removing a 17-year-old's pants in a public area. So funny. So glad that we're minimizing the harm of that scene with that joke. A few days later, after getting off work, Noah sees Allie walking around town and decides to walk over to her. He says I'm sorry, but he doesn't really mean it.
It was a stupid thing to do to crawl up the Ferris wheel to talk to somebody, but I had to be next to you.
I was just being drawn to you.
It's time for everybody's favorite game show. Why is this a bad apology? Our host today is me. I'm going to be reading the prompt. Introducing our contestants. You are the contestant. Let's get started today with our first question. Why is this a bad apology? Is it A, he's downplaying the harm he's caused? B, the apology he did make should have been targeted towards someone else? C, he didn't apologize for everything he did wrong? D, he didn't take accountability for his actions? E, he didn't apologize to everybody he wronged? F, he doesn't care about how Allie feels about the event as evidenced by him not asking her about her feelings? G, he immediately walks back the entire apology seconds after making it, essentially justifying all of his actions and therefore making his entire apology an empty lie meant exclusively to manipulate Allie into forgiving him without him actually having to admit what he did, how it was wrong, or why it was harmful. Or H, all of the above. We all know it's H, right? We all know it's H. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you got it right. Yes, it's H. Of course it's H. It's all of them. It's a bad apology. He doesn't apologize for the emotional anguish that he made her suffer through. He doesn't apologize for disrespecting her boundaries, and he doesn't apologize for the emotional blackmail, or for forcing her to agree to something that she didn't want to do. No, he apologizes for breaking social norms, for climbing up the side of the Ferris wheel, which, by the way, that apology belongs to the owner of the Ferris wheel and the employee who was working that night. But even that apology is immediately walked back by him saying, "But I had to." Noah is doing two things right now. He's saying, oh my gosh, I am so sorry for that silly thing I did, to gain her approval, while simultaneously also minimizing the damage that he caused her. He then immediately backpedals to justify his actions. He's not sorry. He's just pretending to be. Allie asks why. Noah says, why? Our date, And she says, what date? As a way to hint to him that she's still not interested. Take a hint, bro. He says, the date you agree. Oh, sorry, hold on. He says, the date you agreed to. He says, the date you agreed to. I gotta get a solid voice for Noah. I'll figure it out. The date you agreed to. The date you agreed to. No, that's not it. He says, the date you agreed to. And she says no, saying more bluntly now that she does not want this. He argues back that she not only agreed, but promised and swore on it. Oh, that's the voice. That's the voice for Noah there. That's it. She did neither of those things. This is textbook gaslighting. What she said while he was hanging was, okay, fine, I'll go out with you. But now he's implying that she's misremembering that she promised and swore on it. Allie, once again, doesn't take the bait. Being the girl boss that she is, she says she changed her mind. And you know what Noah's next move is gonna be? She changed her mind, so I'm gonna try to change it back. Sorry. She changed her mind, so I'm gonna try to change it back. I lost it. I lost the voice. Oh no! He starts pleading to her, saying that he understands it's weird, a strange, dirty person she doesn't know going over to her. This one line right here changes everything. No one can claim that he's just a kid, or that he doesn't know social norms, or that he doesn't understand the harm that he's causing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly how weird and off-putting this scenario is for her. He knows that he's harassing her. He knows that he's making her uncomfortable, disrespecting her wants and needs, completely disregarding her boundaries. He knows what he's doing. He's not naive. This is purposeful.
You don't know me, but I know me.
Imagine you continually got asked out by a random person, and after saying no over and over and over again, they still kept pursuing you and just kept harassing you. I know you don't know me and I'm a complete stranger, but don't worry, I know me, so I'm safe. Would that help you feel better? Would that help you feel safe? It wouldn't help me. It wouldn't help me feel safe, because I still don't know you. You can know you perfectly fine, but I don't know you. So get away, bro. This explains the next line perfectly when he says, when I see something I like, I gotta
I love it. I go crazy for it.
See, what he started to say was, when I see something I like, I gotta have it. But then he realized that sounded a bit too rapey for her. So then he changed it to, when I see something I like, I love it. I go crazy for it. He revealed way too much of his true intentions. So what does he do? He starts backpedaling. He goes, I'm not usually like this, I swear. Sure, buddy. Okay. By the way, we're not even 10 minutes into the movie yet. He doesn't care about Allie at all. He only cares about what he can get from her. And he's willing to say whatever he needs to in order to get her to do what he wants. He even admits this to her in the following dialogue. I could be fun if you want. Pensive, smart, superstitious, brave, light on my feet. I could do whatever you want. You just tell me what you want and I'll be that for you. This voice is really not working out for me, bro. Allie walks away, not agreeing to the date. Girl boss! And Noah once again goes back to his old tricks, asking, what can I do to change your mind? Don't worry though. He comes up with a plan. Allie's invited to go to the movies by her friend from the theme park, Sarah. When they get there though, Allie discovers that her friend has lied to her. Noah and Finn were also there to set up a double date. Oh my goodness, what a coincidence. Notice she sees Noah and then immediately tries to run away, and her friend has to like pull her back and stop her because she does not want this. Allie, you remember Noah, don't you? Yes, I remember.
Hi.
Hi.
It's nice to see you again.
You too.
You look great.
Thanks.
Really, really great.
And then Noah's friend swoops in to try to save him because he's being really weird and creepy and making Allie uncomfortable. As noted by Allie's like side eye. Look, she's like looking to try to like get away. Now she is visibly uncomfortable and is forced into a situation where she has to A, continue on with the date that she has said repeatedly she has no interest in, or B, she has to leave and make a scene in front of her friends and peers. Allie continues to watch the movie with them, but sits far away from Noah. He's not even watching the movie. He's just silently staring at her the entire time. Oh wait, I already did that bit. My bad. He moves to sit next to her without asking her if she's okay with that. Once again, invading her privacy without any regard for her consent or her wants. And you could say, oh, she's smiling, she's okay with it, but that is not how consent works. She could be smiling because she's uncomfortable, or worse, she could be smiling because she's afraid of him and doesn't want to make him mad. There are a myriad of reasons why she could be smiling other than because she's into it. Just because somebody looks like they're enjoying it doesn't mean it's okay. Consent can't be implied, it has to be stated, because otherwise you are relying on his opinion of what she wants over what she has repeatedly said her boundaries are. Implied consent is not consent. As they're walking out of the movie theater, Noah gets up right inside her ear and whispers, "Want to walk with me?"
What are you guys doing?
Walk with me?
Get in.
What's going on here?
We're gonna walk.
I'd like to clarify quickly. Okay, who the actual hell is driving their loud motorcycle at 1 o'clock in the morning? Like, why? Please! I'd like to clarify quickly, this is the first time he has asked her what she wants in the entire movie. Him asking her what she wants is a good thing, by the way. Asking her, hey, do you want to walk with me, is a great thing. But the way that he asks her and the place that he asks her is also important, because to ethically ask for consent, you have to ensure that there are no power imbalances. Otherwise, it's not true consent. So if there's a power imbalance when asking for consent, you might as well not have consent at all, because when there's power imbalances, you can't give consent. You can't do it because you can't ensure that it's actual like true consent. Same thing with like uninformed consent too, right? If you don't know what you're consenting to, then you can't consent to it. The next scene where they're talking, there's a bit more gray area, and this scene could be interpreted in two different ways. During their walk at night, Noah asks Allie what she does in her free time. She says she's really busy, focusing on math, Latin lessons, tennis, dance lessons, French lessons, and piano lessons. He says that she's not free in life, that she has it all too planned out. Which honestly makes a lot of sense given the context of the scene, because this conversation piggybacks off of an offhand remark that Allie made, where she basically says that she hasn't had time for fun since she was a child.
Not since I was a little kid. I'm busy, I don't have a lot of time.
Which isn't great. When we watched this during our Discord movie night, link in the description, the Discord community and I all got the impression that Noah was implying that Allie was boring.
He's judging her.
Before we
He made presumptions beforehand.
If Allie felt like that's what Noah was saying about her, it changes the context of this entire scene. Noah steps into the road and lays down in the middle of the street. He says that he and his dad used to do that back when he was a kid, before asking Allie to join him in the middle of the road, on the ground, in the dark. She says no, for obvious reasons, and you already know what he responded with. Why not? She says, I don't know, and he says, that's your problem. You don't do what you want. You don't... Oh, hold on, back up, new voice. That's your problem. You don't do what you want.
That's your problem, you see? You don't do what you want.
That's your problem, see? You don't do what you want.
This just in. Breaking news. You don't know what you want.
That's stupid. You don't do what you want.
Back in my day, we didn't say things like, I don't know. You just knew. That's the problem with this generation. You don't know what you want.
That's your problem, Allie. You just don't know what you want. But I do.
That's your problem. You don't do what you want. There you go. That's the voice. Hold on. He says, that's your problem. You don't do what you want. Signifying that he believes he knows what she wants better than she does. He says this as if he knows her better than she knows herself. Keep in mind, this is the third time that they've interacted together. During the Discord movie night, one of the hippies, Spud, stated it perfectly. When you feel pressured enough by a person and don't want to disappoint them, you'll do pretty much anything, including laying down in the middle of the street when you don't particularly want to. Even though this guy didn't really seem to straight out pressure her, he made her feel like she was boring. If someone thought you were boring, would you do something to try to make them think otherwise? Because a lot of people care about opinions a lot. On top of that, we should also note that Allie still does not know or trust this man. It's the middle of the night and they are alone, in the dark, in the 40s. No phone to call for help, no GPS to track her location if she goes missing. There is a huge power imbalance here. He works blue collar. He's strong and has a shown history of violent tendencies in order to get what he wants, because after all, when he sees something he likes, he's gotta he loves it. In his own words, he goes crazy for it. This is not just a question of not wanting to disappoint him. For Allie, this is a huge safety concern as well. She's characterized as being very aware, evidenced by her noting Noah's lack of physical space during their initial meeting. She's also incredibly intelligent, showcased by her busy trilingual schedule. She's aware of the potential danger, and Noah is too. Remember, he's not naive. This is purposeful. Allie lies on the ground next to him. She asks what happens if a car drives by, and he calmly, maybe a bit too calmly, answers, then we die, and tells her to trust him, despite not giving her any reason to actually trust him, and instead giving her a Bible's worth of reasons not to trust him. Allie opens up to him anyway because the writers have decided to make her, and by extension the audience, interpret his advances as romantic. This is the first time, 17 minutes into the film by the way, that Allie is characterized as being happy, genuinely happy in Noah's presence. After getting out of the street, Noah asks Allie if she wants to dance with him, and she says yes. Noah then guides her back into the street and she objects, saying, not supposed to dance in the middle of the street. He says, who said anything about dancing in the street? As they are dancing in the street! She says we don't have any music, and Noah starts humming. She didn't consent to dancing in the street.
Not supposed to dance in the middle of the street.
She has communicated that he does not have her consent to dancing in the street, but he continues to guide her out there anyway, because she said yes after all. That's not how consent works. Saying yes to one thing does not mean yes to something else. No one. Literally no one.
But Weston, how does consent work? Wow, I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you.
In order to have her consent, it is Noah's responsibility to ask Allie if she would be okay with dancing in the street, either during the original asking of the question, or he needs to ask her again now that she has a greater understanding of what he was asking her. If he doesn't ask her again, that's not consent. He asks for an inch and then takes a mile. Now, you might be asking, Allie's really smart, so why would she go along with dancing in the street after she almost died in it moments ago?
Stop, 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 stop. This is far too joyful. That's how the movies made the 40s look, but that is just not how the 40s were. Our past and our understanding of the past recontextualize the present. Let's look at the context of this. Allie's a woman in the 40s. Only 20 years before did women get the right to vote. But just because women had the right to vote now doesn't mean they were treated equal in society. Society, controlled predominantly by straight cis white men, still held a lot of expectations for men and women and upheld very damaging heteronormative gender norms. Men were expected to be the breadwinners, the working class, and women were supposed to be the homemakers, housewives, and mothers. And that's about it. Women were raised since childhood to be the perfect wife for their future husband, and they didn't get any agency over their own wants or their own lives or careers or their bodies. It wasn't even until 1936, just a handful of years before this story takes place, that the US Circuit Court allowed doctors to be able to distribute contraceptives across state lines. Here's a quote from one of the judges concurring with the decision. There seems to be substantial reason for saying that contraceptives were meant to be forbidden, whether or not prescribed by physicians, and that no lawful use of them was contemplated. Many people have changed their minds about such matters in 60 years, but the act forbids the same conduct now as then. Nevertheless, I am not prepared to dissent. Wow, just wow, insane. It wasn't until the 1960s that married couples, and only married couples, were even able to buy birth control. But Weston, why would politicians want to limit women's access to birth control? Take away their autonomy, don't let them work in the economy. Make their home an autocracy. Quote scriptures from Deuteronomy. Force them into monogamy. Convince them to engage in sodomy. Sexualize their taxonomy. Call gender a dichotomy. Generally just engage in misogyny. I couldn't figure out another rhyme. I'm sorry. In summary, the goal of removing women of good birth control and education is to take away their autonomy by impregnating them, leashing them to a child, and then forcing the woman to take care of that child that they potentially didn't even want in the first place, thereby taking away their financial autonomy and overworking them so they don't have any energy to rebel or run away. Taking away women's autonomy starts with and is dependent on removing birth control and education. Hey look, one of the primary goals of the radical right for 2025 is to remove women of the ability to have birth control. It's almost as if the radical right hates AFAB people. Wow, that's crazy. What? Never would have guessed. This is what, the third side note in a row? We're like way down the rabbit hole. This is like a side note of a side note of a side note, but okay. Quick side note, because I would feel weird not including this somewhere in here. AFAB is an acronym that stands for Assigned Female at Birth. It's a more accurate term with our more modern understanding of gender as a spectrum of identity, which sometimes can stand in contrast to what was assigned at birth. It helps to be more inclusive of trans people and other people who are gender non-conforming, but it also is just more accurate. For the sake of this essay though, I don't think I'm qualified to talk about trans or LGBTQIA+ history as of right now, so for the sake of the purposes of not wanting to spread misinformation and keeping this video short-ish, we'll just all pretend that every time I say women, we all know that I'm talking about the people who society discriminated against because it believes them to be women, whether or not they were actually assigned that at birth or whether or not they identified as that. The misogyny is what we're talking about right now, not the nuances of trans people masking as cis and or living closeted within society throughout history. Although that is a really good topic that people who are qualified should be talking about and a lot more people should know about. Let's get back to the video. A woman's purpose was solely to make babies, raise those babies, and be the perfect wife for their husband. Much like this movie, the media at the time propagated this insane, perverse idea that this is romantic. It clouded a lot of people's understanding of consent, what romance looks like, what being a good person looks like, and what it means to be in a healthy relationship. And once you were married and realized you maybe wanted something different, it was too late. You'd already signed your life away to some man. That's a thing. No-fault divorce was illegal. You could not legally get divorced unless you could prove that your partner was abusing you. And a lot of people want to go back to that system. So if you're a woman in the 40s, you got no education about what consent is, no access to contraception, you're not asked what makes you happy or what you love, you're You're told as a child that getting married and making babies will make you happy, and by the time you realize this life might not be for you, you're not legally allowed to leave anymore because, well, you agreed to get married, you said yes to this, you don't get to change your mind anymore. And a lot of people got in really bad relationships, really abusive relationships, and really bad cycles because of a lack of understanding of what consent looks like. That's why education is so important, and that's why movies like this can be so harmful. They romanticize the past and all of the troubling history that comes along with it.
Not supposed to dance the blues.
You should dance in the street.
And so I'm not entirely shocked that Allie would go along with this despite how disgusting his actions have been. Despite her economic status and girl boss power, despite her seemingly breaking away from some of the middle class gender norms, she's still being raised in a society where men control everything, and the default is that men are in control. That's the problem with misinformation and bad representation in media. Stories don't exist in a vacuum. Art is created to share ideas, feelings, values, imagery, and experiences with others. And no matter your intentions as an artist, you have an obligation to make sure that the message of the story you're telling is not something that will bring harm to your audience, or worse, the world at large. It causes damage in real people's lives. It causes people to have misunderstandings about the types of relationships that they're in. I have more to say about this, but I think it'll be more apt if I wait until the end of the video to talk about this during the wrap-up, so look forward to that. For now, let's keep going. This scene is transitioned out with a narrator closing the book in present day. Spoilers.
Hey look, it's that old guy again from the beginning. I wonder who that could be. It could be literally anyone. Real mystery on our hands. Could it possibly be the only two characters that have been introduced in the entire movie?
The old lady we talked about at the start of the movie is actually an old Allie who doesn't realize that the story is being told about her because she suffers from memory loss. An elderly Allie, ooh, that rolls off the tongue. Elderly Allie. An elderly Allie asks if it's a love story. The old man, the narrator, Noah, answers that it is a love story. And the writers forget how to write convincing dialogue as they try to convince the audience that the story is good, with an elderly Allie saying verbatim, "I like this kind of story. Go on." Oh wait, can I do a grandma voice? Hold on. "I like this kind of story. Go on." What grandma sounds like that?
She's gotta get off of the cigarettes, bro. She's smoking 15 packs a day.
No.
I am never doing old grandma voice ever again. Obviously, I cannot do that. Cut back to the 1940s. Some time has passed, we don't know how much, and we see Allie run into Noah's arms. They kiss, and the extras in the scene gaze at them and applaud. Voiceover says that they have now become inseparable. This also seems a bit unhealthy to me. A lot of people have this idea that when you're in a relationship with someone, you're supposed to be like with them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, especially people who have been raised in abusive or controlling homes, who think that love is supposed to feel suffocating. Being around someone 24/7 requires that you don't have any time away to do other things that interest you, to explore hobbies or passions that you find interesting, to explore who you are and who you want to be. Obviously, sacrifices have to be made in order for a relationship. Dude, why do people make cars that go brum, 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 brum with their engine, bro? It's so annoying. Now, obviously, some sacrifices have to be made in a relationship to make the relationship work. And you want to spend time with your partner because connection is found through the memories that we make with others. But relationships are only as healthy as the people in them. And if the people in the relationship aren't changing and growing and flourishing, then the relationship will become stagnant. So I've been working on this video since Christmas. So like going on 4 months now, and I bought this bread to use as an analogy, but it just kind of sat in my fridge for the last 4 months, and now it's like really moldy and gross. If you don't change, eventually you'll become stale, old, gross, moldy bread, and the relationship will too. That's why it's important to be able to change and grow and evolve and do your own thing as well, because otherwise your relationship becomes this, and no one wants to eat that. I'm gonna go throw this away now. So how do you spend enough time in the relationship so that the connection can be made, but also spend enough time away so that both people in the relationship can continue growing? Just like everything else in life, the key is balance. I know some couples who only spend a few nights a week together to be able to hang out. It gives them time to work on their art and their studying and schoolwork and do their work stuff and cleaning and all of the other stuff that they have to do. Other people enjoy doing that inside of the relationship. They'll spend time together while also working on other things. Every relationship looks different, and what works for you will not work for another person or another couple. What's most important is making sure that you feel secure, that you feel protected, you feel safe, and most importantly, you feel like you're able to be you. Just make sure that you're also dedicating enough time in the relationship so that you are prioritizing your partner as well. Again, you know, it's all about balance. Essentially, it's just about balance, and what works for you may not work for someone else. Basically, what I'm saying is there is no right or wrong answer when it comes to how much time you should be spending with someone. So long as you feel comfortable, happy, and free, that's all that matters. The best way to make sure that what you want out of the relationship lines up with what the other person wants out of the relationship is to just communicate. To just ask them, hey, how often would you like to hang out this week? Here's where I'm at right now, but where are you at right now? Ask questions, figure out where they're at, figure out where their boundaries are at, and then work together to find compromise and figure out the best way where everybody can be happy and secure in the relationship. If you feel trapped or isolated, that might be a sign that you should take a step back and look at where you're at and maybe try something different. I need a minute to breathe. I've been recording for an hour and 40 minutes, and I still have more than half of the script to go through. I gotta go grab water before I can actually start doing this. I got this cup from my aunt before she moved to New York. The side of it just like completely chipped right here. The dishwasher just kind of like ripped it off. Now I'm really sad. It's a sad day. We don't get any indication that Allie and Noah feel trapped, but we also don't see them doing anything outside the relationship either. We know Allie likes to paint, but we never see her do it. However, this is literally a montage showing them hanging out together. Like, that's literally the whole point of the montage. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Also, in the next scene, we see Allie showing Noah one of her paintings that she's working on. So I'm gonna assume that they do give themselves time to do their own thing, even if the montage doesn't show us that. If at some point they start to verbalize that they feel trapped or isolated, maybe we can come back to this. But for now, I'm gonna say that like from what I'm seeing, this seems okay, so we can move on to the next scene. Now, I know I've given this movie a lot of crap so far, but I want to point out something positive for a second. I love the movie's portrayal of Noah's dad.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, don't apologize. Come on up here, darling.
He's an awesome dude. He's just an awesome dude.
Allie, pleased to meet you, Mr. Kelly.
Well, Mr. Kelly, what am I, old or something? You call me Frank.
He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but the short amount of time that he is on screen, we learned that Noah had a stutter when he was younger.
I stammered.
Stammered, stutter, what's the difference?
And Noah's dad had Noah read him poems aloud to help him work on improving his speech.
It wasn't very pretty at first, but then his stutter went away.
He seems generally interested in getting to know Allie and compliments her for her artwork.
Well, that's beautiful. Look at that. That's a damn picture there.
He wants what's best for his son and is open-minded to art and self-expression in the 1940s.
Well, I know just where we can put that. Thank you. Hey, how would you like some breakfast? Would you like some breakfast?
Dad, it's 10 o'clock.
What's that got to do with it?
He eats breakfast at 10 p.m. This dude is a badass. You can tell that he genuinely tried to raise Noah to be a good person. Noah's dad is charming, caring, funny. And Noah is, among other things, boring. The beach scene perfectly exemplifies this. Allie runs into the waves, screaming gleefully. Noah follows behind and says, "What are we doing?" in that monotone voice. Remember earlier during their walk down the street during the theater scene when he implied she was boring? It turns out he's the boring one. If you're on a date with someone and they're running through the waves at an ocean, splashing the water around, screaming joyfully, that is the perfect moment to match that energy. Yes, and her energy, Noah. Start splashing water on them. Scream at them. Start a splashing fight. Do something. Nah, he just goes, "What are we doing?" All boring like. And then she pitches him an easy fastball. No, what's the baseball term? Hold on, what's the baseball term for when you like pitch an easy like throw, when you do like the underhand throw in baseball and then someone like hit it with like the baseball bat thingy? This is why I play video games, bro. I just looked it up. Apparently the term is meatball. Ew. Why is it called meatball? Anyway, she asks, in another life, do you think I could have been a bird? And then he doesn't match the energy. Match the energy, bro. You could even say an insult. Say something like, nah, I think you'd be a snail. Or maybe even lean a bit more conspiratorial with it. I'm not even convinced you're a human being in this life. In fact, I think you're secretly a robot. And if she gets offended, you can just be like, no, because I think you're a robot because human beings are just too imperfect and you're too perfect to be a human being. You have to be a robot to be so perfect for me. You know, you can spin that. You can spin that. Or if you want to go a bit more cheesy, more like romantic with it, you can be like, I think in another life, you would have been an angel. Or maybe you can take her question hyper literally. Well, lots of philosophers throughout human history have talked about the concept of reincarnation. You know, something like that. You want to keep the conversation going. Say yes and then add something new onto it.
Do you think in another life I could have been a bird?
What do you mean?
Like reincarnation.
I don't know.
It's so boring! Instead of muttering that, here's what he could have murmured. If another life you procured, consciousness endured, you'd be an angel for sure. Sing hymns with the mirror, joy and praise secured, your eyes glowing purpur, your large wings unfurled. Paragon of beauty, I'm blurred, but don't die premature. You've not read, that's for sure. The future's obscure, but I must reassure. You're an entrepreneur, don't lose that life of yours. Let death be deterred, you have a life to live first, a future to endure. Live free, unimmured, a life of bliss so pure. You get the idea. Something like that. Literally anything is better than the answer he gave, which is, I don't know, which just shuts down the conversation completely. But that requires actually having a soul. Noah is incapable of being funny or interesting because it requires him to be himself, or at the very least, to be slightly vulnerable about his thoughts or feelings. He cannot be vulnerable because, as we've already established, he's too busy playing a character so that he can be whoever she needs him to be. When someone isn't true to who they are boring. Perfect people are boring because perfection is boring. Noah is trying to be perfect for Allie and he is failing miserably. He is boring. It can be tempting to feel like you need to play a character or be someone other than yourself, especially if you have self-esteem issues. If you don't love yourself, it's hard to see how other people could love you. And it's really easy to fall down that pit of being someone else to get people to like you. But I promise people see that. People can tell. They can just know when you're not being true to who you are. And even if they don't see it, you don't want that thought in your head that people only like you for the character that you play. You want to know that people like you for you. There are more than 7 billion people on this planet. And with the internet, you can basically talk to anyone, anywhere, at any time. What makes someone fun, what makes someone interesting is incredibly subjective. So as long as you're being true to who you are, I promise you will find people who love you for you. You'll find people who won't love you for you, and that's okay because people's likes and interests are different, and that's good. The fact that people's likes and interests are different are what is going to help you find people who love you for being who you are. But first, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open to being vulnerable and being rejected in order to find people who love you for you. You have to be rejected by people who won't love you in order to find people who will. And it will hurt for a little bit. It will hurt probably, maybe for a lot of a bit. But I promise you, when you find people who love you for you, it will feel so much more rewarding than just finding people who like you for the mask you wear. Just be genuine. You are worthy of love and respect, and you will find people who will give you that love. All you have to do is be you. With that being said, continuing along, we learn about Noah's main communication strategy, and it's not good.
No, I can't!
Screaming, get in the water. I'm screaming right now. This is me screaming.
This isn't really a bad scene on its own, but it's indicative of a larger problem. Everyone has the potential to be a good person. Everyone has the potential to be a lovable person. Even Noah. The brief time that we see him without a mask on, we learn that he loves poetry, he's a good dancer, he's kind to his dad. He has the potential to be a really good person, but he's choosing not to act in it. Allie, Noah, and a few friends are hanging out at a lake.
Get it? Hanging out because of the rope. Okay, moving on.
They're taking turns swinging from a rope into water. Don't do this, by the way. It's really dangerous.
At the very least, if you're going to do it, just make sure you're following the proper safety procedures. Safety is important. Thank you.
But instead of using positive words like, you got this,
"You got this. I believe in you." Or, "You are brave and strong."
Instead, he yells at her. I'm not going to imitate the voice because it can be really triggering for people who have been through trauma to hear people yelling like that, even if it's not the person that actually ended up like traumatizing them originally. So I'm not going to imitate the voice, but I'm going to read his quote. Get in the water. Imagine him screaming that at her. Again, this is not inherently horrible. Allie's not been traumatized in the past. She being yelled at isn't necessarily a trigger for her. And people have different ways of communicating, and sometimes people need more direct communication, especially when overcoming fears like that. However, I would argue that there's a difference between being direct and being just mean and hurtful. You can be direct while not being mean or harsh. You don't need to scream at someone to be direct. There's a distinction there. But Noah using those kinds of direct words like that instead of something that's more positive and uplifting can be a huge red flag, and when not used in the right context can be really traumatic and really damaging. So in short, it's not necessarily terrible on its own, but it could be indicative of a larger problem, and I don't know that it necessarily traumatized Allie, but if she had triggers in the past, it could. And if he's yelling at her in other contexts that aren't in such a positive way, then it would be traumatizing. So this isn't necessarily bad on its own, but it could be a lot better. And we're going to come back to this later. The narration says that while they were super duper lovey-dovey, they also got into arguments. A lot. Which we all know is the hallmark of a healthy relationship. It's hard to hear what Noah and Allie are arguing about, but we see it very clearly. Screaming and yelling at each other. We don't know who started the yelling, but the first thing we see is Noah grabbing Allie's face and trying to force a kiss onto her without her consent. I won't linger on this, but I want to make this very clear. No matter how long you've been dating or married to someone, you never have a right to do anything with their body without their consent. It's their body. I think there's this misconception that a lot of people have that marriage is like this get out of jail free card. It's not. Marital attack is a particularly heinous form of relationship attack that occurs within intimate relationships. However, throughout much of the world, the marriage contract affords legal immunity to marital partners who would otherwise be convicted as attack offenders. All right, I lied. I'm ranting for like 2 minutes and then I'm moving on. If you don't think we have a culture that at least tolerates this, let's remember that one of the 2 candidates running for president in 2024, and also he's a former president with millions of Americans voting for him, has many photos with this man whose name I will not say right now, and there's lots of evidence documenting all of the ways that he has done horrible things to women, and yet half of the country is going to vote for him. Wait, go back to the 2016 election. Who's running against Trump? Clinton, as in the wife of former President Bill Clinton, who also has a lot of pictures with this person. Yeah, that's right. It's not just a right-wing issue. Since it seems the people who are supposed to be our political leaders have forgotten how consent works, let's do a little crash course. Obviously, no means no. If you say no, it means no. But consent is so much more than just no means no. You don't have to tell somebody something to have a right to your body. And no one else has a right to do anything with you unless you specifically tell them that you want to do it. And even then, there's criteria around that. For example, if someone has power over you, do you have the ability to say no? And do you know what you're potentially consenting to? And even then, here's the important bit. You can always change your mind later. That's the coolest part. You can say no at any time. Even if you said yes in the past, you can say no in the future and like nullify it. It'll be like, nope, never mind, no more, all done. Wait, is it, this one's potty. This is the sign for potty. Is this all done? Yeah, this is all done. So potty, or no, sorry. All done, no more, all done. So if you say yes, and then later you decide, actually, I don't really want to do this anymore, that's okay. And the other person or people in that relationship or interaction need to respect that, because you have the right to revoke your consent at any time. Sorry, I'm getting antsy just sitting here, so I might be a little bit right now with my body language, but I promise, we're here. ADHD is going to calm. We're going to calm, and we're going to be here. Scratch that. You're always allowed to change your mind. And you should never, ever feel pressured to do or say anything that you don't want to do. In the same way, you are never obligated to do anything you don't want to do, and you are never obligated to give consent for any reason. For example,
"Hey bear, can I have consent to hold your hand?" See how the bear didn't respond? That's a no. That's not a, he didn't say no, so it's a yes. That's a no. I don't have consent to hold the bear's hand. And no matter how long I've known the bear, or how much the bear loves me, or how much I love the bear, that is never a factor into how much or how little I have a right to his body. I never have a right to his body. The only person who has a right to the bear's body is the bear. Anyway, so after Noah tries to kiss Allie, grabbing her face without her consent, Allie pushes him off. The subtitles say, "Don't kick me," but it sounds a lot more like she says, "Don't kiss me."
All the time.
Again, it's kind of hard to hear. Noah says back, "Don't push me." Allie pushes Noah and then slaps him. Noah chases after her and grabs her. This time, he succeeds in kissing her. The argument ends. This tells me that this is not the first time that they fought, and this is not the first time that he's kissed her non-consensually in an effort to shut her down during an argument. Now, if you slow down the footage during the second shot and you pay really close attention, astute viewers will notice that she doesn't fight back, and some would say that that makes it okay, that she's okay with it. But like, is that really the position that you want to hold? That her not fighting back is synonymous with her giving consent? Is her not fighting back the same as her saying yes? Because I don't think that's a very good position to hold at all. It's the dancing in the street issue all over again, except taken to the next step.
Not supposed to dance in the middle of the street.
He's no longer just taking her into the street without asking her if she wants to dance. He's now acting on her body without asking her. Once again, acting on her what he wants instead of asking her directly what she wants to do. He asks for an inch and then takes a mile. He didn't ask for her consent and she didn't say yes. I think the only reasonable position to hold is that because he didn't verbally ask her for consent and she didn't verbally communicate that that's what she wanted, he didn't have her consent. That's SA. But the movie treats this as a romantic moment. It's used to transition to them kissing in a car together. While this is all happening, the voiceover literally says they were crazy about each other, which in this context is even more disgusting. Now just wait, because we're only 30 minutes into the movie, and it's about to get so much worse. Before the heavy negativity though, a small detail that actually made me laugh during my fifth viewing is the scene where Noah meets Allie's parents and extended family. The scene opens with Allie's dad making a totally funny and not at all misogynistic or gross joke. In theory, we're both millionaires, but in reality, we just live with a bunch of whores. Something that was accepted in the 1940s as the norm. But in reality, we just live with a bunch of whores. I'm laughing! Noah and Allie both just stare blankly at each other, almost as if they don't fit in with the patriarchal structure surrounding them. Noah's asked by a bunch of rich people what he does for work, and he says that he strips bark off trees for the incredible pay of 40 cents per hour, which is equal to about $6.82 per hour today. So, he broke. Yeah, that's right. The economy's always been bad. This is not a new issue. Thank goodness that we've progressed as a society to where there aren't jobs that pay that low amount of wage today. That would be horrible. Anyway, moving on. It's getting pretty serious, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, summer's almost over. What will you do?
Well, her college is only a couple hours away.
She's going to a different college.
I didn't know that.
So what about this scene showcases how disgusting and unhealthy their relationship is? Let's go into more detail about that before talking about the worst scene in this entire movie. All right, fourth day filming this. Let's go. The script is so long. Allie's mother observes that Noah and Allie have been spending a lot of time together lately, but asks Noah what he's going to do long term because summer is coming to an end. Noah explains that he can go visit her at college since it's only a couple hours away, showcasing that Noah and Allie have talked about this in the past. However, we quickly realize the conversations that Allie and Noah had together in the past about their future was an illusion, a facade, a charade, a masquerade of a false reality. In other words, a lie.
If you're not being honest with someone, then you're forcing them to live in a fantasy world, a fake reality. That's why communication isn't just important, but essential to having a healthy relationship. Without communication, you don't even have a relationship. You just have lies.
It's revealed that Allie's been lying to Noah about the school she's planning to go to, and Noah, confused, said he didn't know that Allie was going to go to a college in New York. Allie's dad then interjects into the conversation and tells Allie's mom to, quote,
"Let the children have their fun without bringing in the Spanish Inquisition,"
essentially silencing her.
Misogyny is really cruel. Silencing women is uncool.
If you're not convinced that that's what the intention was, Allie's mom literally responds with, "My lips are buttoned." How much more clear does it have to be? Anyway, fast forward a little bit, they finally sit down and talk about their future inside of an abandoned house. Don't worry about it. Noah says that he needs to fix up the place. All it needs is new floors, ceilings, walls, plumbing, windows, basically everything. He talks about his future dream house being on the water and having a porch that wraps around the entire house. And Allie asks, "What about me? Don't I get a say in this?" I actually see this as a positive. She's basically asking him, where do I fit into all of this? You're talking about your plans for the future. Where do you see me inside of this plan of yours? And especially considering the long distance issue, this is obviously a conversation that's well overdue. They need to talk about whether or not they're going to work out long term. They've been avoiding it for so long, but since summer is ending soon, they can't avoid it anymore. They need to talk about it. So her asking about the house is her way of asking him if he sees her in his future and what his intentions are for the future of the relationship. It's healthy. He even flirts back and says, "Do you want to say in this?" Essentially asking her, what do you think about this future, in the form of an offer. He's basically saying, I would like for you to be in my future, but if you don't, that's okay too. I just don't know where you're at. So if you could please tell me, that'd be really nice.
We could drink tea and watch the sun go down.
Okay. So far, this communication is really, really great. She lists a bunch of potential things that she wanted on the house. It's really healthy conversation until it isn't. When she asks him to promise.
You promise?
I promise.
Good.
Now, on the surface, this seems fine, but here's the problem. They haven't actually gone into looking at all the logistics of how his plans might contrast with hers. And so her asking him, hey, here's where I'm at. I know where you're at. Here's what I'm wanting. Will you promise to make that happen? Without talking about the different sacrifices that both parties would need to make, she's basically putting him in a situation where he has to promise to put her wants and needs ahead of his own. Making promises without looking into the full scope of what those promises entail and the future repercussions of those promises can be really dicey. Think about Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars, promising to save his mother without any ability to actually bring that plan into fruition. Promises can set a lot of expectations, and expectations can set a lot of pressure on one or both parties in the relationship. And on top of that, it can also be used as a weapon later. Her making him promise to add her plans to the picture without careful analysis could be something she could use against him later. So I'm not saying don't make any promises ever, just that when you do make promises, be really careful when you do, and make sure that you logistically plan out how those promises can actually be enacted before making that promise. Especially since they've been dating for 2 months now, and they're talking about build a house together. That's kind of crazy. You don't want to jump too quickly into a relationship. It can be really easy because when you meet someone new and then you start falling in love with them, you're kind of in that butterfly phase where your stomach gets all nervous and you're just happy to be around them. Just literally in their presence, you're just like, they're glowing, and you have this urge to just devote all of yourself and everything that's ever been in existence to that person. But eventually that butterfly phase ends, and you want to wait until the butterfly phase ends and you're able to further see them as them rather than as the idolized version of them that you have in your brain. You don't want to fall in love with the idol, you want to fall in love with the real person. So you don't want to move too quickly in the relationship. You also don't want to move too slowly. So I'm not saying don't have conversations like this, because not having conversations like this is also bad.
it's also bad because then you're non-committal. So having these conversations is good. Plan for the long-term future, but also don't make any expectations around it. Basically, what I'm saying is you can have a conversation about how to navigate the viability of long distance without using an analogy akin to let's build a house together and spend the rest of our lives together. While it's good that they're talking about this, and it's good that they're learning how to be committal in relationships, I think a less coded, more direct conversation would probably be a lot more effective. One other issue with this scene, super quick, have you noticed that kissing's kind of a lot of what they do? I know it's not just this scene, it's a lot of scenes. They don't really have any shared interest. It's kind of like what the voiceover said earlier. They don't really agree on much. In fact, they don't really agree on anything. Then why are they together? Is it because they're physically attracted to each other? Oh my God, no. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of analysis to be found there, and I'm sure I will be writing that essay not here. Everything I've talked about up to this point has only been the first 30 minutes of the movie. The first 30 minutes of the movie! And I have so much more. I have so much more to talk about Allie's parents and generational trauma and Allie getting engaged to someone else, but then taking all of her past relationship crap and then feeding that into the relationship. I have so much more I want to talk about, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I've been working on this since Christmas and my ADHD is so shot. I want to make an entire section specifically about Allie's mom and how she takes her own pain from her past and then forces that onto Allie. And honestly, I could probably make an entire essay, probably as long as this one and maybe longer, but frankly, I don't have the spoons for it right now. So maybe at some point I'll make a part 2. If you want to see that, let me know. But for right now, for the sake of your time and my sanity, we're gonna continue on. Originally, I planned on just speeding up a lot of footage, like super quick, to show just like how much movie we had to skip through to get to the ending. But unfortunately, I forgot that seizures exist, and I don't want to cause anybody to have seizures. So enjoy these pictures of cats instead of a sped up video. Oh, what a cute cat. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that one. He's so adorable. All right, moving on to something slightly more depressing. But let's all agree together. Instead of being depressed about the topic, let's just point and laugh at the movie for being bad. So join with me as we talk about the worst scene in this entire movie, what we've been building up to this entire time, and what inspired me to write all of this and make this entire video in the first place. All right, we fast forward quite a bit. To fill everyone in on what's going on, Allie left to go to New York and hasn't seen Noah in several years. Noah made a bunch of letters to Allie which never got received. Noah's dad gave Noah a bunch of money. We stan Noah's dad, and Noah built a house with the plans that he made with Allie all those years ago when they were teenagers. Allie's now engaged to this weird guy who's actually really awesome. He's really great. He's a really, really great, awesome guy. He treats her really well, and she just left him and cheated on him, and now she's sleeping at Noah's house for a few days, right before the wedding.
Whoa! Okay, hold on, back up.
That was a lot. That was a lot of information. Super quickly, let me just let's talk about that just for a second. I promise, super quick. Allie is now volunteering as a nurse's aide because YouTube's least favorite historical period just started. Thank you, generative AI. I never could have figured out this information without you. While helping servicemen heal from their wounds, she meets a man whose name I don't remember, so we'll just call him Phil. Sure. And this serviceman named Phil also asks Allie out on the first time she talks to him.
Excuse me?
Which, generally, not great. Generally, it's not good to treat women just like a sack of meat.
Sometimes when you talk to me, you don't even see me.
But, you know, we'll get to that. So let's just quickly compare the interaction that Phil has with her versus the first time that Noah had with Allie, and the different approaches they had when asking Allie out. See, while Noah pursued Allie, stared at her, and stalked her, service worker Greg here happened to bump into her while getting treated for a work-related injury.
Explosion sound.
Noah invaded her space, threatened her, and then repeatedly asked her out after she said no. Greg, however, asked Allie once and implied that if she said no, then he would respect that. Noah gaslit Allie and constantly changed his tune about what his intentions were. It was just hanging with a friend, just a movie. After the movie, just a walk.
Just come on.
Just lying in the street.
Just relax. Just trust. You need to learn how to trust.
Just a dance on the road. She promised and swore on it. Who said anything about dancing in the street? You just don't know what you want, but I do. I can be whoever you need me to be. Except for a good person, it seems. I can do whatever you want.
Could you leave me alone like I've asked? No? Oh, okay.
Donovan, however, makes his intentions perfectly clear from the jump.
And my intentions are completely dishonorable.
It's too late now, that's the voice we're going with for Henry. Sorry, buddy.
On their second meeting, Noah runs up and immediately begins talking to Allie without checking if she wanted to talk to him. Captain Jackson, or whatever his name is, however, waits by his car and lets Allie approach him. By the way, with verbal consent given by Allie to do so once he got better. He wasn't being creepy sitting by his car waiting for her, he was doing exactly what she asked him to do. Clear, concise communication and respecting Allie's boundaries.
This is my best interpretation of the narrator voice. He was handsome, smart, sophisticated, and charming. Best of all, he respected her. Noah.
Sorry.
He also came from old Southern money and was fabulously wealthy.
Why did they leave this detail in the movie? They could have just said he was rich.
But Weston,
I hear you say.
the Washington Post article says that the wealth evaporated.
Well, let's click on the post and see what it says. Give it a second to load. I need a new computer. All right, here it is. By 1880, the sons of people owners were better off than the sons of nearby southern whites who started with equal wealth but were not as invested in owning people. The sons of formerly owned people never caught up, of course. By 1880, more than 90% of them were still in the South and still worked as farm laborers, tenant farmers, and sharecroppers. In the 120 years that followed, they consistently saw lower pay and less upward mobility than similar white men. Even after the people on whom their wealth was built were freed, southern elites passed their advantages to their children through personal networks and social capital. Most notably, they married up. The success of people owners' sons after emancipation hits that reducing wealth inequality isn't just a matter of redistributing wealth, it's a matter of reducing other barriers as well, such as elite personal and professional networks and other intangible privileges. Does he profit off of the other part of history that YouTube hates? No. Well, maybe. It's unclear, but does he at least treat Allie like a human being, respecting her wants and wishes and boundaries? I think absolutely. Also, side note of the side note of the side note, again, Noah's been getting busy with this other lady whose name I don't even think he knows. He just uses her for her body because he's too stuck on this multi-year obsession with Allie
Sometimes when you talk to me, you don't even see me.
that he can't move on and find someone to have a healthy relationship with.
But a woman knows when a man looks into her eyes and sees someone else.
She is clearly not happy about it.
For context, since I know we skipped ahead a bit, after Allie left and moved to New York, Noah stayed home and wrote a crap ton of letters that Allie never got a chance to read.
I used to paint all the time.
So paint? Is everything okay?
I need to get away.
Listen, are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, then go. Take your time, do whatever you need to do. You wanna come in?
Okay.
So, Allie stayed the night for a few days at Noah's house. Noah's house that he built for her creepily while she's with someone else. Someone else who Allie is currently engaged to. So she cheated on her fiance for the last few days, and only after all of that is Noah going to bring up the letters.
You read the letters, finally.
Which just gives me icky vibes. Maybe it's the way he said it. Maybe it's ending the sentence with finally. But there's something about that delivery in that sentence that makes me feel like he's blaming her for not receiving the letters in the mail.
An indicator of passive-aggressive behavior, according to Simply Psychology, is a large use of sarcasm. For example, saying, "Nice of you to finally show up," to a late-arriving colleague, indirectly criticizing their tardiness.
But Weston, he said it with sarcasm. It was very clearly meant to be a joke.
If she even feels at all guilty for not receiving these letters, then he has no right at even attempting a sentence that could be construed in this way. Given the context of everything Allie's been through, even just over the last couple days, I'd say that she's doing an incredible job at keeping calm throughout all of this. But she is in a very heightened emotional state right now. So even if Noah doesn't mean it in a malicious way, which doubt, that doesn't mean that it couldn't be harmful to Allie. A better phrasing would be, you're reading the letters. What did you think? Because this takes the power away from Noah and allows Allie the room to vent how she feels. Phrasing the sentence, "You got the letters, finally," takes the power away from Allie. Because what is she supposed to say to that? I'm sorry? She has no reason to be sorry to Noah. She didn't get them. It was out of her control. Should she apologize to her fiance?
It's normal to get cold feet before your wedding.
No second thoughts, no.
You wanna come in?
Okay.
Anything you wanna tell me?
No.
Okay.
You wouldn't dare. I'm a married woman.
Not yet. Okay, should I be worried?
No, I don't think so.
We didn't watch this scene in our movie night either.
Yeah, she probably should apologize to her fiance, but not to Noah. What could Noah's intentions be other than to cause Allie to feel further burdened, troubled, and guilty, which would make manipulating her easier? Now that she feels like she's made a huge mistake, now that she's been vulnerable with him, now that he can emotionally manipulate her again, now that he has power over her, is he going to ask her, where do we go from here? Except he doesn't even ask that. He asks, what are you going to do, Allie? Now that Allie's cheated on her very loving, very caring fiance, she doesn't know what she's going to do. She justifiably says, I don't know. Noah gets mad at her because in his mind, that answer isn't good enough. And he screams at her. We're back to that? Lashing out at her for being honest with him. Let's be clear here. No matter what Allie said, any answer other than, I'm leaving my fiance and going to live with you forever, would have resulted in him lashing out. It's a fear tactic. This is manipulative and an abuse strategy. Look at the face she makes when he yells at her. She is afraid, or worse, she feels guilty for not giving an answer he would be happy with. Remember what I said about him having power over her? He asks her, what are you going to do? And she doesn't give him the answer that he wants. So the next step is to use that power. The next thing he says is, what about the last couple days? They happened. She says, I know they happened, and they were wonderful. And notice how suddenly Noah sits quietly and listens. Until she says, but they were also very irresponsible.
Bang, crash!
Notice in the scene, Noah doesn't even wait to let her finish her sentence. He hears the word but and immediately starts lashing out violently. The second that she says something that he doesn't want her to hear, he flips out on her. She reminds him that she's worried about her fiance, and he doesn't let her finish that sentence either. He, again, does not give a crap about her wants, her feelings, her fears, anything. He only cares about what he can get from her, and he's willing to say whatever he needs to in order to get her to do what he wants. So he tries to manipulate her emotions again. He says, so you make love to me and then go back to living with your husband? He's trying to make her feel bad. Oh, look at me. Look how much I'm hurting. Look how much you're hurting me. It's guilt tripping. He literally says, is this your plan? Is this a test that I didn't pass? Which is like, huh? Ew, 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 ew. Huh?
Icky, 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 ha, icky.
She says that she promised her fiance. She gave him her word. And then he says, your word is shot to hell now. Once again, using the fact that he waited until after to have this conversation. If this conversation had happened before, this would not be a weapon that he could use against her. If anything, this would be one of the reasons that she'd probably pose as to not sleep together. You wouldn't dare. I'm a married woman.
Do you want to leave your fiance to be with me, or do you want to stay with your fiance?
No matter how she answers, this is a better time to have this conversation because now they're at equal power. He doesn't have anything to hold over her. Even if she says, I don't know, what's he gonna do? Say, okay, I'll wait. That's much better. That's much better. That's a much better outcome. If he'd had this conversation before, she'd be less likely to sleep with him. That's why he waited. But he's realizing that this weapon isn't going to work, so he switches tactics. He tells her what he thinks her needs are.
This is not about keeping your promise, and it's not about following your heart. It's about security.
What's that supposed to mean?
Money!
He tells her what he thinks her needs are. Ask any woman, they'll tell you one thing that all women love is a partner who will just mansplain to them all the time. You don't know what's going on in her head, Noah. She is not the same person that you dated all those years ago, and even if you were dating this entire time, you don't know someone's needs better than they do. You don't get to tell someone what their needs are. You get to ask someone what their needs are, and they get to tell you. That's how that usually works. You don't get to tell someone, no, your needs aren't this, your needs are this.
So glad we came out tonight. Like I was saying, a real man will tell a woman when...
Yeah, me too.
Tell a woman what her needs are. Because everyone knows they're too incompetent to be self-reflective enough to know what their needs are themselves. They're also self-absorbed.
I'm gonna go.
And crazy.
Bye.
But their craziness makes them something... Where are you going?
Noah insinuates that Allie doesn't actually love the person that she's engaged to, that she's only with him for the money.
Which is especially strange given that the narrator literally says verbatim earlier in the movie, Allie was surprised how quickly she fell in love with Lon Hammond. His name's Lon! That's his name!
But then he says, if you
leave here, I hate you.
That's a guilt trip. That's a guilt trip. It's a guilt trip. It's a classic, you don't love him, you love me, and I accept you for all of your flaws. because you're a woman and you're weak and you're crazy and indecisive, but I love you anyway. But if you leave, then I hate you. It's an abuse tactic to get her to stay. He's trying to manipulate her into feeling guilty for leaving, and so he wants her to just stay here. But that's not how love works. The reverse is just as toxic, by the way. Instead of saying, if you leave, I hate you, if you were to say, if you leave, you hate me, that is just as toxic, just as harmful, and just as disgusting. It's not because I'm making you uncomfortable. It's not because you're not happy being around me. It's because you hate me, don't you? And that'd make me sad, because the insinuation is her hating him is mean. And so if she leaves because that makes her happy, that's actually being mean to him. And that's her being hateful towards him. Her leaving for her own safety and for her own happiness is actually her being mean to him. That's the insinuation. And that's not true. It's not true, by the way. If you ever have to block someone or leave a situation or leave a relationship, it's not bad for you to do that. Your boundaries and your safety are the highest priorities. On top of that, you have a right. You have a right to choose your own boundaries. You have a right to tell people, hey, this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I'm okay with. And if someone isn't following what you're comfortable with, if someone isn't making you feel comfortable, of course you have a right to leave. Of course you have a right to leave them. Why wouldn't you? You deserve to be happy just as much as everyone else. And it's not mean for you to stop talking to someone. Oh, sorry, Bear. And it's not mean to stop contact with someone who isn't respecting your boundaries or isn't making you happy. If someone's bringing more negativity than positivity into your life, you have no obligation to keep them in it. If someone's being negative, you have a right to let them go. It's not mean. It's not cruel. It's not you hating them. It's just you finding what makes you happy and living your life to the fullest. True love, healthy love, is unconditional. If someone only loves you because you do something for them, that's not love. That's manipulation. Loving someone means that even if they hurt you, you still want the best for them. A side note, loving someone doesn't always mean you have to be there. You can want the best for someone and still recognize that it's not healthy for you to be a part of their life. You can want them to be happy, but also recognize that it's not more important to sacrifice your own happiness to make them happy. If you're not both happy with the relationship, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. True love for someone means that you want them to be happy whether it benefits you or not. And loving yourself means that you pull yourself away from situations that don't make you happy. In order to love someone else, you also need to love yourself, because you need to be able to recognize that your happiness is important and their happiness is important. They're two different concepts. You can't love someone else without also loving yourself, because you can't recognize the importance of someone else's happiness without also recognizing your own happiness. They work together. You see, loving someone else and loving yourself are integral. They have to go together. If you only love yourself and you don't care about anyone else, that's how you become a Noah. And if you only care about other people and you don't care about yourself, you only try to prioritize other people's well-being, that's how you get stuck in abusive cycles. And it takes recognizing that your happiness is also important for you to stand up for yourself and walk away from situations that are not healthy for you. Hi, Editor Weston here, watching over the footage. I'd also like to clarify that abuse is never the fault of the victim. Sometimes it's dangerous to stand up to your abuser. It's scary. And if you've gone through that, or if you know someone who has, I am so very sorry. No one deserves that. If you remember one thing, I want you to remember this. You are not weak. You are not a burden. You are strong, and you are brave, and you are persevering. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and you are worthy of love. Most of all, I want you to remember that you are worthy of love from other people and from yourself. You are amazing. Don't ever forget that, and don't ever let anyone tell you anything else. True love would be for Noah to ask Allie what she wants and to encourage her to take time to figure that out and be supportive of her regardless of what decision she makes. Instead, Noah says, I guess I must have misread all those signals, further perpetuating the narrative that Allie must have just been faking her care for Noah. The hope is that Allie will turn back and say, no, you didn't misread. It was real. I do still love you. And then he'll be happy. Unfortunately for Noah, Allie's really good at standing up for herself.
Let's go, Queen!
Instead, like a badass, she says, I guess you did, and then walks toward her car, Fucking awesome. Let's go, dude. Now, if Noah actually thought that he was just misreading things, then when she walked away, he would let her. He'd let her go. But we know this is another manipulation tactic because when she takes his power away, he chases after her.
Oh no, my foolish plan didn't work. Revert to plan E. Go, 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 get her, get her, get her.
He screams, "You're bored." She ignores him. He screams it again. "You're bored and you know it." She ignores him again. One final attempt at gaslighting her to make her second guess her feelings and thoughts. When everything else fails, he asks her to stay with him. No manipulation. This is probably the one genuine moment that we see from Noah during this entire interaction. He is but a shell of anxiety, self-resentment, and loneliness.
Did you just stay with me?
Surprisingly, Allie turns to him and continues the conversation. She says, "What for? We're already fighting." This is probably the most disgusting part of this entire movie. I'm gonna put up a second trigger warning. Technically, it's the third trigger warning since the second one was one that I put up during the editing stage earlier on, but I didn't know about that during the recording process. Yeah, so be warned. But I'm gonna be very careful. I'm gonna be very careful about how I talk about this. I'll play some smooth jazz in the background, so hopefully it'll lighten the mood a little bit. Let's get into this, because I think this is important to talk about. Forget everything else that we've talked about in this movie. This is the most harmful thing in this entire film, and watching this scene is what inspired me to make this entire video. As we go through the rest of the scene, I want you to keep this in the back of your head. Noah is standing in front of her car door. He's literally blocking her from her ability to leave. He is essentially forcing her to continue this conversation whether she wants to or not. He has taken the power back from her. She gives an inch and he forcefully takes a mile. Noah is back in power. He was genuine just long enough to get power back. Now that he has it, he is going to use that power against her and stand in front of her car to prevent her from leaving. Notice how he inched his way around during that genuine conversation. In response to Allie saying they're fighting all the time, Noah says, "That's what we do. We fight. You tell me when I'm being an SOB, and I tell you when you're being a pain in the donkey, which you are 99% of the time. You have like a 2-second rebound rate, and then you go back to doing the next pain in the donkey thing." Slam! Closes door so she can't drive away. There's more to the quote, but let's start here. Relationships aren't about fighting, or at least they shouldn't be. If they're healthy, relationships are about listening, trust, reliability, honesty, respect. Relationships are about respect. Calling your partner an arrogant SOB, calling your partner a pain in the donkey is not respectful. Fighting results from resentment. Fighting is what happens when you try to be heard instead of trying to listen. Fighting is what happens when you spend more energy trying to be right than trying to understand your partner. He says, "It's gonna be really hard, and we're gonna have to work at this every day, but I wanna do that because I want you." Noah tells Allie what he wants, but at no point does he allow her time to figure out what she wants. Healthy arguments happen all the time, but they happen with the goal of understanding, empathizing, and compromising. There shouldn't be screaming matches or emotional appeals or blaming or power imbalances. Now notice how Noah screams at her, invalidating her feelings. Beep. Now notice how. Beep beep. Alrighty, that's a lot. That's a lot to remember. How am I supposed to remember all of that and say it? That's just one very, very long sentence. Oh my god. Beep beep. Invalidating her feelings, ignoring her wants, and violently berating her with insults. Beep beep. Beep. Sounds like someone's dying. Oh, I know who's dying. My mental health. My creativity. My motivation to work on this video. I'm gonna cry. Invalidating, ignoring, and violently berating. All of this BS is so intoxicating. Waiting for this conversation after mating, creating a situation so excruciating. When this is the person that I'm dating, I can feel my mental health deflating. I know I've said it before and I don't want to restate, but it seems you only want women to procreate. Being with you is so unbelievably draining. I give this toxic relationship a 0 rating. They have like a 2-second rebound rate, and then you go back to doing the next pain in the donkey thing. So it's gonna be really hard, but I want to do that because I want you. He says it's going to be really hard only after saying a bunch of things that she does to make the relationship difficult, essentially blaming her for any sort of trouble that they have in the relationship. Now, notice how Noah screams at her, invalidating her feelings, ignoring her wants, and violently berating her with insults. And at no point does he take accountability for that. He instead blames her for their troubles gaslights her by implying that she's crazy while saying that her silly woman emotions rubber band all the time, and subtly says that she's a pain in the donkey, not only right now, but 99% of the time, and implies that she needs him to point out when she's being crazy so that he can fix her messes for her. The implicit message is, you're crazy 99% of the time, but don't worry, I love you anyway, and you'll never find anyone else who will love you like I do, so you should just stick with me forever, even if you're not happy in this relationship, because at least you have someone who cares about you as much as I do, because you're so unlovable that you'll never find anyone else who will love you like I do. He says she's crazy while following up with, it's gonna be hard, but I want you. Love bombing her right after calling her a pain in the donkey. Love bombing her right after making her feel unlovable. Notice how he tells her what he wants. He, again, never asks her what she wants in any of this. Instead, he asks her to do something for him. After everything he's put her through, even just during this scene, none of his manipulation tactics worked. He tried invoking their problematic but, in his mind, romantic past, and she still walked away. He tried using her present problems with her fiancé against her, and she still walked away. And so now he's going to try to artificially instill a fear of the future into her so that he can use that fear to control her. While still blocking her ability to leave, by the way, he says, picture your life 30 to 40 years from now. If it's with that guy, then go. But also remember what he said earlier. If you leave, then I hate you. Essentially, he's forcing her to make a decision right now in this moment when she's very clearly not in the right headspace to be making decisions like this. On top of that, he's still blocking her car, so she has to push him out of the way to leave. And even if she does that, the threat of him hating her is still looming overhead. But if she doesn't do that, if she doesn't do anything, if she just stands there, then she also loses, because now her indecision is a decision. Now she has to either push him out of the way of her car or stand there and do nothing and choose him. Let's pretend just for a second that this is actually just a Telltale game. Your options are push Noah out of the way and leave in your car, which according to Noah leads to your ex-best friend and someone you have a lot of care and love for hating you. Option 2, leave and go to your fiance who you're nervous about going to thanks in part to Noah's fear-mongering. Option 3 is do nothing, thereby subtly admitting that you still have feelings for Noah. Option 4 was to wait and figure out what to do somewhere else, but unfortunately that option is now unavailable because it was taken away from you. Of these 3 options, which will you choose? See how none of them allow you agency over yourself? See how every option that doesn't lead to you being with Noah is substantially harder to commit to? See how all of the available options are choices, but within a framework that a man has forced you into? How no matter what you choose, you are still following someone else's rules. You're still playing Noah's game because you're forced to. Noah is forcing Allie to play his game instead of allowing her to decide what game she wants to play. It's a trap. This is a trap that he's lured her into. Noah says if you see the fiance in your future, then go. But the unsaid second half of that sentence is if you see me in the future, then stay. None of this is fair to Allie. But we're not done. Because while Allie is in the midst of trying to figure out what to do with this situation that he's forced her into, he says, I lost you once, which is guilt trippy, and continues by saying, I think I could do it again. Not, I could do it again. I think I could do it again. Not, I could do it again, which would be reassurance. Hey, I'm going to be okay no matter what decision you make. It's, I think I could do it again, which is a subtle threat, which calls back to their first interaction together when he threatened to jump off the Ferris wheel if she rejected him. They parallel each other, you see? Saying, I think I'll be okay, implies that there's a chance that you won't be. It's kind of like when you see someone crying at work and you ask them, hey, are you okay? And they say, I think so. They're not okay, but they don't want to talk about it. That's what that means. And then while she's still trying to figure out what to do in this very heated situation, he says, but don't take the easy way out, implying that her going with the fiance would be the easy road and therefore the wrong decision. I'd also like to cite back to our Telltale example to point out that nothing about picking the fiance is the quote, easy decision. Noah's created so many barriers for her for every decision that isn't the living with him forever option that, if anything, within the context of the heated and honestly potentially dangerous environment, picking the green triangle would probably be logistically the easiest option on the table. Not the healthiest, not the freest, not the happiest, but within the confines of the game that Noah's constructed, the easiest. So him saying, don't pick the easy way out, is just another way to attempt to gaslight Allie into believing Noah's narrative about being in a relationship with me will be difficult but worth doing, which he's about a quarter correct. It would be difficult. Not for the reasons he's described, not because she's a pain in the donkey, but because he's a manipulative a-hole with a lot of abusive tendencies. Also, the it's worth it because I want you is just not his call to make. And by creating this ultimatum of pick me or pick him, he's trying to put himself on equal ground, as if Noah is someone she likes just as much as she likes her fiance. This might not be the case, and it's not fair of him to push this narrative onto her or thrust himself into that level of yearning within this ultimatum.
But don't you take the easy way out.
What easy way?
She says no matter what I do, someone gets hurt, which is true. That's the trap that he's put her into. He says, stop thinking about other people.
Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want?
Which would be good advice if you hadn't spent the last several minutes screaming at her every time she told you what she wanted or felt. It would be good advice if you weren't actively sitting on her car, preventing her to leave. It would be good advice if you weren't forcing her to make a decision right now in the heated moment. It would be good advice if you gave her the ability to leave, to think, to calm down, and think alone about what she wanted and how she was feeling. Instead, you are screaming at her, trapping her, and forcing her to make a decision right now while simultaneously threatening her with the thought that you're going to hate her forever if she doesn't pick you. That's not fair to her. And still, through all of that, Allie still tells him what she actually wants instead of what he wants to hear. That she wants to leave.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
I have to go.
Imagine how much bravery that takes. Imagine how scary it would have been to stand up to Noah in that moment.
You think buttoned up or buttoned down? I'm going buttoned down. No, wait. Is buttoned up when you have the buttons in the hole, or is buttoned down when you have the buttons in the hole? Because, like, you have to button it up to unbutton, but like the button down, but you can unbutton from the top down too. So if someone says button up, does that mean like this or like this? I don't know. That's unclear to me.
I'll tell you what's not unclear to me though.
Standing up to your abuser can feel terrifying. Contacting the authorities or even a friend and saying, I need help, can be unbelievably difficult, but taking that step when you're ready is a powerful move towards safety and change. The cool part is you have options for support too. You can contact a trusted friend or a colleague or a teacher or a classmate, or you can contact a confidential and anonymous resource like the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's okay to feel afraid and uncertain. I know the feeling quite well. It's very large. But you deserve help and support. You deserve to be happy. And when you're ready, acknowledging that something is wrong is the first step towards change. You are not alone.
We'll talk about Noah's body language in literally 2 seconds. I just want to quickly acknowledge that Allie is freaking awesome. She's great. I love her so much. She's incredible. She's incredible. And finally, Noah gets the hint. He stares into Allie's eyes and puts his hands over his heart, all sad and weepy, and walks away silently, slowly. Look how sad I am. Look how sad that you've made me. He tries to make her feel bad, but at least he's walking away. Oh yeah, by the way, Allie leaving and not staying with Noah is meant to be a sad moment. You know it's sad because sad music starts playing as Allie's car pulls away. It's so sad that these two lovebirds don't stay together.
I got
you so good. I got you so good. Let's go, dude. That was awesome.
Do they ever see each other again? Noah and Allie?
Now, you don't want me to spoil the end of the story before I get to the good part, do you? Where did I leave off?
I shall not want.
When Noah's father died in November.
What? They killed his dad? But he was the best part of the movie. Rest in peace, Noah's dad. You will be missed. Fly away. I need to stop singing, but you will be missed.
The house was all he had.
This is a good story.
I'm glad you like it.
I think I've heard it before.
Yes.
Perhaps more than once?
Yes.
Hey dudes and dudettes and other people who don't fit within those categories, which by the way, is super cool. I'm just here at the skating park all by myself, which is like so radical, dude. You know what's not cool though? Ignoring consent.
Oh, God. Talking about the past so much for a second, I almost forgot what year it was in. That was wild. Oh God, why am I putting it back on? Oh God!
I was straight tripping, yo. Radical!
Whoops, sorry, I did it again. My bad. Anyway, it's worth mentioning that the entire story and everything that we know about it and about their lives is from Noah's perspective. Literally, like the narrator that's been popping in and giving us more information and context about the story and the characters is Noah talking about their lives. So everything we hear from the narrator about how Allie is feeling, which we just assume is true because it comes from the calming disembodied voice of James Garner, is really just Noah putting words in Allie's mouth. You see, elderly Allie has something called Alzheimer's disease, which is a progressive form of dementia. She's losing memories of who she was, so much so that she doesn't even recognize that the story that's being told to her is about her own life. I'm just gonna go out and say it. Noah wrote The Notebook. Oh my God, he said the name of the movie. I did. Yes, I did say the name of the movie. Noah wrote The Notebook. Oh my God, he said it again. With the intention of trying to bring Allie's memories back, because it's implied that he knows from doing this in the past that she will inevitably forget again. But here's the problem. He never even asks her if she wants to remember. And even if he did ask her that, how would he go about asking her in a way where she would be able to give consent, because she would have to know what she was trying to remember in order to be able to consent to remembering it, right? Because you have to know what you're consenting to. So if he were to ask her like, oh, do you want to remember these things? I can try to remind you. Like, how can she say yes to that? But even putting that aside, as far as we're aware, she never even agrees to have the story read to her in the first place. The first scene of the film, in fact, is of Duke, offering to read to Allie. Elderly Allie responds with, no, I don't know, which is kind old lady speak for no, please, no, leave me alone, which is also old lady speak for fuck. To his credit though, this is not only Noah's fault, because the nurse lady who's in charge of watching Allie disregards her no entirely and says, oh, come on, you'll like him, he's really funny. She said no, lady. Leave the poor lady alone. Leave Allie alone. She already told you what she wants. Not this. Worse yet, the scene just ends. The movie just cuts to them walking to the patio area, implying that she said yes, but never actually showing us that. That's not how consent works. When someone says no, that's the end of the conversation. You don't have the right to continue harassing somebody into changing their mind. I mean, sure, if you ask somebody the same question over and over and over and over and over again, and you ignore their no's, eventually they're gonna say yes. But that doesn't mean they actually want that. It might mean that you just wore them down long enough that they ran out of energy to fight you. But that's not how consent works. 2. Cutting away from the first scene that they have together in the entire film without her saying yes to even being read the story, the plot the entire film is centered around and even named after is ironically extremely indicative of what the rest of this film has to offer. A whole lot of ignoring Allie's wants, ignoring Allie's consent or lack thereof, in favor of what the writer, Noah, wants. Noah, after receiving numerous warnings against it and even being told directly by Allie no, just begins reading the story to her anyway in hopes that her memory will return, regardless of what the emotional fallout of that will result in, regardless of if she remembers him or not, regardless of if she's with him or not, regardless of if she even wants him or not. He spent his entire life chasing after her, changing himself to fit what he thought she wanted him to be, changing himself to fit what he thought would keep her from leaving, even going as far to change his own name, for crying out loud. Never allowing him to just be himself, and in the process, never allowing Allie to live her life in peace, even as she was completely removed from her old life, including her memories, and found peace with that. He continued trying to bring her back, not for her, because we've seen how much pain and frustration this causes her, but for himself. And that is just not cool.
And remember, kids, if anyone tries to treat you the way Noah treats Allie, you can tell them this. Talk to the hand, Lamazoid. Cut it out. No soup for you. Or my personal favorite, hasta la vista, baby. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go complain about violence in video games, which statistically doesn't increase the proclivity to violence, and eat cheese out of a can. Later, skaters.
Do you think our love could take us away together?
I think our love can do anything we want it to.
Good night.
Good night.
La 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 la.
Allie and Noah lay in bed and die in each other's arms, using their true love
To kill each other.
so they can die together. We gather here today to celebrate the lives of Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, to acknowledge the lives of Noah and Allie, last names go here. After watching their entire lives unfold and spending the last 11 months of my life thinking about these people every day, it is my honor to be hosting this funeral. With that being said, I stayed up until 4 a.m. trying to figure out what I was going to say today. And after much contemplation, I realized Noah wrote a lot of poetry when he was a child, and it's thanks to his own writings that we've had to stay here and listen to how their stories unfold for the last 1 hour and 32 minutes or so. Allie, in her own right, was also an exceptional artist, and so I thought it was only fitting if we hearken back to the world of art to say our farewells to these beloved characters, before forgetting about the funeral bit entirely, getting distracted by a side tangent, and then moving on to the summary so that we can all go home. Yay. Now, I want to be very clear, this is not me putting words in Allie's mouth. This is what I would have written if I'd gone through half of what Noah put Allie through. Noah, you best repent for disregarding consent, for your actions represent our culture's reprehensible crimes on human rights that minorities have had to fight for centuries with unrelenting might, for equal rights as men who are white. Treating me with little regard, screaming and leaving me scarred, crying alone inside my car as my heart breaks into shards. You sit in your chair on your deck, thinking about the marriage you wrecked, your wallet's a speck, your ego's a parsec, thinking only of yourself, refusing to self-reflect. You claim your worst trait is that you're poor. That was proven false when you ignored I was engaged to a soldier I met at war. You mansplain my needs on your porch and say if I leave you hate me more. You stop me leaving by blocking the door, forcing me to listen to your whining some more. Please stop, Noah, and reassess how your aggressions have oppressed, how your threats and screams have me weeping streams, how you ask me on a date while invading my space, pretending our love was fate just cause I'm pretty and you're straight. I grew old and now I forget how you treated me like a pet, threatening to be dead, leaving me misled, acting like a friend, giving me stress. The truth you'd stretch with the lies you spread, bringing me dread without a shred of regret, since your actions have led to fixing your debt, to being newly wed, to dying in this bed next to the woman you wed and ignored her consent. You won't change. You'll never change. Not because you're dead, but because your heart is. And that happened a long time ago, if it ever existed at all.
Thanks for coming to the funeral, everyone.
One of the things that I'm expecting people to say in the comments, if anybody watches this video, which probably won't, but if anyone watches this video up to this point, what I'm expecting to see in the comments is something along the lines of,
But Weston!
yeah, I'm not doing that for the entire rebuttal. Never mind. Hold on. But Weston, the movie's clearly setting up the fiance as the person Allie's parents want her to be with because of his wealth, even though she still wants to be with Noah. So the intention of the scene is to allow Allie to choose between who she actually wants versus who her parents want her to be with. Her picking Noah is her doing the independent option. Except that when Allie was first asked out on a date by Lance, the narrator says that she was surprised at how quickly she fell in love with him. Plus, the narrator also gives us a variety of reasons why Allie is dating Lance, from his good looks to his ethically questionable source of wealth to the way he treats her with kindness and respect. If she was only dating him because she wanted to appease her parents, that would have been on the list. That would have been listed. On top of that, service member Daniel actually brought this up to her before asking her to marry him. He joked that it would actually be a problem to marry him because it would end her rebellious crusade against her parents. This scene isn't shot with the idea that she's uncomfortable with this. She doesn't take a minute to self-reflect. She doesn't look at the least bit concerned or bothered by this. She actually jokes back and says, "Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do?" And he says, "I don't know." So this idea that Allie was somehow unhappy in this relationship with this potentially slave profiteer here is an argument that I just don't see any evidence for within the context of the film. The only point that she ever looks uncomfortable in this relationship is before the wedding, which is completely reasonable, where she talks about how she feels like she's lost herself lately. But the solution to that isn't cheating and ditching, it's to have multiple genuine conversations as you take time to self-reflect, explore yourself and your interests, and reassess your needs. But I guess according to this movie, if you're really nervous right before the wedding, the really romantic thing to do is to get back with your ex, who is not a good person to you, I guess. I just don't really buy the whole "she chose her true love" thing, because it stands to reason, at least to me, that she had just as much interest in James as she did in Noah. It wasn't a choice between her parental expectations or true love. It was a choice between a pretentious dick who has a pattern of threatening her and playing mind games, or a person who's done nothing but treat her with love and has always respected her boundaries. I don't understand how this movie can simultaneously be so well written and at the same time so poorly written to have such a bad message. It's like perfectly written for this horrible message. I don't understand. The acting is great, the lighting is great, the cinematography is beautiful. It's a really well-made movie with a horrible message. It's like very perfectly written to communicate this terrible message. Here's the summary. Noah is an abusive, self-centered prick who only cares about himself. He uses women. He's constantly, every time they're ever together, manipulating, guilt-tripping, and gaslighting Allie throughout their entire relationship. He never changes, he never shows remorse, and even in his old age, he says that this is a love story.
It's a beautiful story.
Yes, it is.
It's not love. This is anything but a love story. And worse, he is rewarded for this. The story rewards him. Anytime that Noah succeeds, it's treated as a good thing, and anytime Noah struggles at all, it is treated as a very, very sad moment. This is not a love story. This is anything but a love story. This is gross. This movie says that no matter how many times someone says no, if you keep pushing their boundaries long enough, eventually they're going to grow to like it. That's one of the messages this movie teaches men. Keep pursuing the same person for years and years and years, even if they're engaged to someone else. Stalk them, manipulate them, lash out and threaten them if they don't give you the answer you want. And eventually, if you manipulate with their brain and their boundaries and their emotions long enough, eventually you'll have them running into your arms. It tells women that they're crazy and that they need a man to point out when their silly woman emotions are making them a pain in the donkey.
Which you are, 99% of the time. I'm not afraid to hurt your feelings.
Here's a wild and potentially crazy thought. If you love someone, maybe you would care about hurting them. If you care about how someone feels, you wouldn't want them to be hurt. You wouldn't want them to be in pain. That doesn't mean that you can't prioritize yourself over them, because your health is also important, but you would still care about how they feel. You would still care if you hurt them. Just a crazy thought, just a crazy thought. Maybe I'm the weirdo. I don't know. It tells women that they need to find a man who verbally abuses harasses them because it's secretly a good thing. It's not actually verbal abuse, he's just not afraid to hurt her feelings. It's not verbal abuse, it's just a man telling them the honest truth. This movie tells women that if a man pushes your boundaries, that's actually romantic and you just need to be okay with that. It tells men that if you ask a woman out and she says no, that's not her not giving consent, that's just her playing hard to get. She actually wants you to keep harassing her. They actually like it when you harass them, and you just need to continue asking her over and over and over and over and over again until she says yes.
But Weston, I hear you say, it's a story. You want to write a character with flaws. You can't write all of your characters to be perfect all the time.
Yes, you want to write your character with flaws. It wouldn't be a compelling story if every character got along with everyone all the time and just was super respectful and everything was great and everything was perfect in the world. That wouldn't be realistic to real life and it wouldn't be a compelling story. But there's a difference between writing a character who has pain and has flaws and learns to grow from that versus someone who constantly ignores people's consent, manipulates, gaslights, etc., and benefits from it. And worse, you're telling the audience that this is a love story, that this is what true love looks like. The question is, where is the character's arc? What is the character's development? What does the character learn? And thus, what does the audience learn? Because what the character learns is what the audience takes away from it. In this story, the way that it's written right now, Noah is the main character. Noah is the one that benefits, and he benefits by hurting the people around him and taking advantage of them. If you're going to write a character with flaws, then that character has to actually acknowledge their flaws and learn from them. If you're going to write a character who threatens someone else, then that character has to either learn from their mistake and or be punished for that behavior. Preferably probably both. Probably both. Otherwise, the message you're sending is that it's good to threaten people. That threatening people is how you get what you want. If the theme of your movie is how disgusting gender norms were in the 40s and how we still need to grow from that today, then don't romanticize that perspective. Don't play happy music when the man threatens the woman if she doesn't give him what he wants. Don't play sad music when the woman decides to do her own thing. If you're gonna make a movie with such heavy topics like this, then do it. Stick to that theme. Don't make a movie about love. Don't say this is what real love looks like, because it causes real harm. It causes real harm to the young adults watching your movie thinking, oh, this is what I need to act like in a relationship. Oh, this is what I need to look for in a partner. No, we as artists have so much power. Art is the fundamental part of how so many people learn to see the world. We as artists help others see the world through a different light, and that takes on a huge responsibility. We as artists go, hey, this is a new perspective for seeing the world, and this is a new way to view interpersonal relationships. That is a huge amount of power, and with it comes a huge amount of responsibility. As an artist, when you craft a story and you say, this is what love looks like, make sure that it's healthy. Make sure that that's a good message that you're sending out, because young women and young men will watch it and go, oh, this is what I need to look for. The person who's here treating me with dignity, love, and respect, and giving me the space I need to leave them for this other person who's constantly harassing me and manipulating me. And this movie tells young men and young women that they shouldn't be their authentic self, that instead they should embody the phrase, I can be whoever you want me to be. Real love, according to this movie, is putting up with your woman's BS and constantly changing yourself every 5 minutes so that the person you're with can't find a valid reason to leave. That's not how consent works. That's not what healthy love looks like. The Notebook is disgusting. Thank you for watching.
Oh my god, no! I forgot to hit record. Are you serious? No! Now, if you'll bear with me for just one more tangent, and then we'll be done with the side tangents. I've realized recently, as I've been editing through this for the last few months, that we still have one question left unanswered. Why? Why am I here? Why are you here watching this? Why the heck did I suspend the last year of my life to create a nearly 2-hour video talking about something that should be fairly intuitive? Because as you've seen, I burned out on this project a long time ago. I was excited about it at first, but as time went on, I found it more and more draining to continue participating in the creation of this project. And yet, every time I said I was done with this project, I found myself getting pulled back in again. Whenever I said I was done, whenever I got burnt out, and whenever I told myself I was finally finished, I found myself getting sucked back in again because I realized I still had more to say. One more poem to tell, one more clarification to make, one more tangent to go on. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I think the reason that I had so much trouble walking away from this project, even as it caused me stress, many sleepless nights, emotional turmoil, and intense burnout, even though I knew eventually this project was going to come to an end, I didn't want my time to go to waste. And I think in the same way, I've struggled with that in my relationships as well. And I think somewhere out there might be someone watching this video who might feel the same way. That yearning for all of our time and energy and hard work and laughs and tears that we've invested into this project to add up to something. That eventually it'll be worth it. That maybe if I just beat my head against this wall enough, eventually it'll be worth all of the bruises that I acquired. I kind of hurt my hand a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Nothing is worth all of the bruises. I need water. I don't have any water here in the studio. Sorry if there's a lot of sounds. I can't help that. Nothing is perfect. It doesn't have to add up to something greater. It doesn't have to have some greater meaning. It doesn't have to have a conclusion. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a movie. It's a stupid YouTube video. And I was setting my expectations for this project and for my life way too high. Way higher than they ever needed to be. In my relationships, I was expecting them to be like in the movies. But they're not. And that's good. This movie sucks ass. This movie sucks ass. We can do better. Life can be better than this. I have spent so much of my time crying over the imperfect rhythms and imperfect rhymes of the rap sections. Half of the audio, halfway through the video, got completely corrupted. The main camera isn't even available for the entire last section of the video because I forgot to hit record.
Speaking of things that I did wrong, I just got done filming and I just now realized as I'm packing up my stuff, I forgot to put the pop filter on the microphone. Dang it. So basically that means that the audio is probably not going to be as good as I was hoping it would be. Sorry.
And so I have two options. I can continue bashing my brain against the wall over and over and over again, potentially for the next 2 years as I redo everything to try to make this video meet the expectations that I set for it. Or I can accept it for what it is, flaws and all, and let it go. And I can move on to the next project and try to make it better than this one.
So again, I'm faced with, do I just re-record the whole thing or just accept it for what it is? I'm gonna accept it for what it is. I don't feel like spending the next 3 hours here re-recording all of that.
Through a lot of thought, a lot of tears, and a lot of deep conversations with many of my friends about this project and my struggles with it, I understand that it's not going to be perfect. I understand that a lot of my time and energy went towards scrapped footage that you will never see. And I also understand that that was not a waste. I had an entire second half of this video planned out talking about Allie's parents and how... But I never got to any of it. And that's okay. I'll just release the video for what it is and move on to the next project and continue living my life. Not everything has to add up to something. It can just be left in the past if you want it to. And then, here's the cool part, that gives you the freedom to explore a future that you want to explore. This video spent a lot of time reflecting on the past because
this movie was stuck in the past. It's literally all about Noah telling the story of his past, refusing to acknowledge or change his behavior, refusing to let Allie be, even as she's lost her own memories of the past, and then giving up on his future as he chooses to use the power of love to die next to Allie because he can't imagine how to live a life of his own.
Oh, these lights are so bright. They're like so far away, and yet they're so bright and terrifying. Life isn't about living in the past, because that's no way to live. That's no way to live your life. So I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder instead. What kind of future do you want to live? And is how you're living right now how you want to spend your present? Thank you for spending the past 2 hours of your time with me today. If you know anyone else who's interested in spending 2 hours of their life listening to a 21-year-old talk about consent for 2 hours, I guess send them the video and share it. Engagement helps a lot. If you're feeling super generous, you could even leave a comment and tell me what you thought, or if you disagree, leave a comment, because that also helps me with engagement too. Your hate helps me. If you have any other topics you'd like for me to talk about, let me know in the comments, because I'm itching for a different project to work on that's not related to the notebook. But eventually I will get back to the Alley video, but not for a while. So let me know about anything else. If you're interested in anything else I have to say, somewhere around here, I'm not really sure where exactly, but there will be links to a video about Vincent van Gogh and my experience with social isolation, self-expression, and neurodiversity. Thank you for watching. You are beautiful, valuable, and loved, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night/day/morning/afternoon/evening. You're amazing. I love you all very much. Have a good night, you freaking hippies.